Hey, Sussy Stuff. I'm Emma,
I'm Blythe.
and we're here to talk to you about the South Carolina and Clemson game. Let's get to it.
So what a weekend this was. It was terrible for either one of these teams to win. What a heartbreaker, but congratulations to the Gamecock fan base on behalf of me, Clemson Tiger here. Um, oh gosh. So this game was back and forth all day long. Super exciting game. Very good atmosphere for 12 o'clock. Um,
I know you were there.
I was there. It was a good environment, honestly. I hate a noon game, but to be a noon game, the fans got in rather quickly, which is usually not the case in Clemson for a 12 o'clock game. Quarterback Cade Klubnik got the ball inside the 20-yard line with less than a minute to play, but a deflected pass was intercepted by Demetrius Knight to seal a 17-14 win for number 14, South Carolina. Clemson now drops to 73, 44-4 all time against South Carolina. So South Carolina will have bragging rights for the state of South Carolina for the next year. um, South Carolina quarterback Lenora Sellers scored the game-winning touchdown on a 20-yard scramble on 3rd and 15 with about a minute left to play. Klubnik completed 24 for 36 passes for 280 yards, and Sellers finished with 166 yards rushing and 164 yards passing.
I think Sellers really cemented himself as a star for this South Carolina team. I mean, he started shaky at the beginning of this year, but how much he's grown into himself has been amazing to watch. It's been amazing to watch the South Carolina team grow under Shane Beamer. I know they are now pushing for the playoffs. The AP poll did come out. They're now ranked 13th. They jumped Ole Miss, which was quite shocking to me because Ole Miss does have the win over South Carolina and a win over Georgia. So that was a little interesting for me to see in the AP poll. But South Carolina is finding their stride at the right time. I, I'm it's going to be very interesting to see kind of how this shakes out. But because of this win, South Carolina does stay in the race to go to the playoffs. And obviously, with the loss of Miami, Clemson still has a shot of making the playoffs as well if they win that ACC championship game.
Yeah, it's insane, and it's really cool to see what this Gamecock team has done since the beginning of the season, where they were picked 13th in the SEC, and now they find themselves in a hunt to become one of the teams on in the playoff, headed to a national championship, which is crazy. But it just shows, how wild this season has been, especially this weekend. A lot of chaos, a lot of teams moving and shifting in that poll, and then Tuesday night we'll have that selection show, and then this weekend will be the conference championship. So a lot of room left to still try to get in there and push. But I think, if you're South Carolina, you should feel confident. I mean, you just beat this Clemson team, another ranked team on the road. Your quarterback showed a lot of fight at the end. Your defense rose up at the end. I mean, this if you're the playoff committee, I mean, you should be feeling pretty good if you're a Gamecock fan moving into the final little bit of football season. But Clemson does have a chance as well. It really would be cool to get both teams in South Carolina in the playoff. With the loss of Miami, Clemson will now face SMU in Charlotte this weekend. So that will be interesting as well. But what a run! What a run!
Yeah, I think the funny thing about Clemson is that they were able to force three turnovers, including a red zone interception by Barnes and a strip sack by TJ Parker, yet their offense really failed to capitalize. It just seemed like Klubnik struggled in this high pressure moment, which he kind of did against Georgia at the start of the year. It was like kind of a bookend to what this season has been for Clemson. He really failed to lead Clemson on a decisive final drive. I felt like they had I know it was like a minute left, but they felt like they had all the time in the world. Why are we rushing in this moment? We were talking about this before. A lot of people thought South Carolina was going to go into Death Valley and rattle Clemson and really pull away with a huge win here, but it's a rivalry game. They kept it close. I saw great moments from both of these teams, and that's good going into a potential both of them of making the playoffs. So I really am excited to see on Tuesday how both of these teams stack out. I know right now Clemson is sitting at 18 in the AP poll and South Carolina is sitting at 13. It really doesn't matter where Clemson is. They can be unranked at this point. They are playing an ACC championship. And the beauty of this year's playoffs is if you win that game, you're in. I don't care where you're ranked. It was the same thing with Texas A&M. If they were ranked 20th going into that Texas game, they probably would have only come up so far. And then if they won against Georgia, they would have gone in. Granted, that didn't happen, but that is the kind of the beauty of it all. About it doesn't really matter as long as you win your championship. So it'll be interesting to see how the ACC championship shakes out, but also I'm excited to see what happens between Alabama and South Carolina, who will actually make it.
Yeah, no, that's going to be interesting. And I mean, like we talked about last week when we were looking at this game, I mean, I thought this was a pretty even matchup. I know we had some haters in the comments that thought it was going to be even, but stats don't lie. So let's look at the stats actually. So South Carolina had 431 total yards of offense. Clemson had 419. South Carolina had 63 plays. Clemson had 69 plays. So at the end of the day, this is a pretty even matchup. They just made one more play and got it done. Congratulations to them. But yeah, I am super excited to see what happens with Alabama and definitely South Carolina. I think probably the biggest argument would probably be, I mean, are we picking off of brand, the Alabama brand, or are we looking at who is playing the best football right now? And I think half the people would probably say South Carolina. They are one of the hottest teams right now, and they got hot at the right time.
I think the thing that kills South Carolina is Bama did beat them.
Yeah.
It wasn't a pretty win by any means, but a win's a win. And if you look at last year, Bama was playing their best football at the right time, but they lost in week 2 to Texas. And everybody said if they got into the playoffs, would we be seeing them at number 3 and Texas be sitting at number 4? But no, the committee honored that Texas did beat them in week 2 and kept them in that spot. So that's why I'm sitting here like I just don't think the committee would jump South Carolina over Bama just because Bama does have that win. Also, like you were saying about brand, this is a TV show at the end of the day.
Yeah.
If you fill up the playoffs with, I know Miami, the Miamis, the Indianas, the Boise States, all of these teams that haven't been in these moments for so long, it's just not going to make a good TV show. But if you have the Texases and the Georgias and the Clemsons even and the Bamas and the Michigans and the Ohio States, I know Michigan isn't making it, but I'm talking about brands here.
Yeah.
That's what makes a good television show. So, and that's what gets them the rating. So you also have to look at that aspect is which one has more clout, and that's going to be Alabama all day long. So I'm really excited to see where both these teams fall on Tuesday. I think if Alabama is ranked similarly to the AP poll, sitting above them around number 11, then I don't think South Carolina is going to jump them. And they obviously in the AP poll jumped Ole Miss. They said these brands are kind of similar to me right now. So we can put South Carolina over Ole Miss, even though Ole Miss did beat Georgia, even though Ole Miss dominated them when they played together. So I don't think they will do the same thing against Alabama, which I mean, as a Bama fan, I'm not mad about, but it's kind of a shame. I think both of these teams, if you're going to start putting 9-3 teams, have a case to make it. Both of these teams, I think, would play strong in these playoffs. So it'll be really interesting to see on Tuesday.
Make sure, if you haven't already, be sure to like and subscribe to our YouTube channel, as well as connect with us on Twitter, Instagram, and TikTok, where we bring you all things SEC stuff. We are looking forward to championship weekend, and we will see you next time.